This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at the Home of Medicine Medical Marijuana Dispensary of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Everyone at the Home of Medicine is super excited to be working out of their new, larger first floor location located right across the street from their longtime second floor spot. If you're lucky enough to find yourself in the Ann Arbor area, you owe it to yourself to swing by the Home of Medicine to see what everyone is talking about. There are a lot of things that are wonderfully unique to how the Home of Medicine dispenses medical cannabis, and the best way to experience it yourself is just to swing by for a visit. Find out how to find the Home of Medicine by opening up the homeofmedicine.org, which is spelled omofmedicine.org. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, June 7th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 506 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story today is a long-form piece published over at Leafly taking a good look at the current chaotic California cannabis cultivation market, which some industry observers think is oversaturated to the same level as the state of Oregon, where a glut of new legal cultivators has pushed the wholesale price of marijuana to rock-bottom levels. At the same time, though, in California, there are dispensaries in the Bay Area toying with the idea of selling $90 eighths of high-end flower. California is the leading cannabis market in the world, so it behooves us all, even us non-Golden Staters, to pay attention to its big marijuana developments. And this whole storyline is one of our industry's biggest. I'd pop this one open for the full read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moment has our second top headline with a story out of Washington, D.C. about the latest blockade imposed on proposed marijuana legislation within the U.S. Congress. Last night, the Congressional Rules Committee voted to block 4 marijuana-related bills from being taken up for consideration by the House at large. That committee is led by noted and rabid prohibitionist Pete Sessions of Texas. We've touched on these prospective cannabis bills before, as 3 of them involve military veteran-related issues. That didn't matter at all to the good representative from Texas, who keeps a long streak alive of outright blocking any kind of progressive cannabis policy reform. Another good one to open up for the details and context. We end today's top headlines down in Florida, where California-based company MedMen just announced a $53 million acquisition of the Treadwell-Simpsons Partnership, a Florida medical marijuana cultivator. The deal will net MedMen a 5-acre cultivation facility in Eustis, Florida, and also includes the right to open up 25 medical marijuana dispensaries spread throughout the state. MedMen will pay half of that $53 million in cash, with the rest to be made up in MedMen stock. MedMen is making a lot of headlines right now for their expansive national and international plans, which include a recent public offering on a Canadian stock market. The deal between MedMen and Treadwell is expected to close in the next 90 days. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before I blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, the Home of Medicine Medical Marijuana Dispensary of Ann Arbor, Michigan. One of the coolest things that the Home of Medicine spends a lot of time and energy on is organizing community events for their patients, colleagues, and friends. Coming up on June 17th is another cool free concert by soul fusion jazz outfit Honey Monsoon. On Sunday, June 24th is another meeting of their popular medical cannabis support group, which is a great way to meet other people using medical marijuana and to learn more about best practices and procedures. Learn more about all the cool things that the Ohm is up to by opening up their website found at omofmedicine.org, which again is spelled omofmedicine.org. All right. Time for the blitz. Canadian licensed medical marijuana provider Aphria just announced that it plans to raise $225 million Canadian through the issuing of stock. The company will use the proceeds of the fund to pay for its ongoing operations and to continue the build-out of its cultivation and processing facilities, including a new extraction factory expected to cost more than $50 million to build, but that is expected to start churning out product by this time next year. New Cannabis Ventures has all the numbers and details on this one. CBC News has a very interesting story that keeps us up in Canada, which is on the verge of becoming the first major industrialized nation to fully legalize adult use marijuana. The CBC's story takes us to the city of Edmonton, which just voted on a set of rules for marijuana consumption that will allow people to partake in public view, just as long as they aren't standing too close to open windows or playground equipment. The question of how we allow people to use marijuana in public view is a big one, so it's good to see places like Edmonton take a seemingly well-measured approach to the issue. This next story continues on the theme of the previous headline, with the Canadian city of Calgary mulling over how to regulate the use of cannabis during music festivals. Yesterday, a city council committee voted 6-2 in favor of a plan that will allow concert and event organizers to set up special tented spaces for people to consume marijuana in. The cannabis will have to be brought in by the users themselves, and there will be no vending allowed in the space. This moved the two councillors who voted against the project to point out that it makes very little financial sense for concert organizers to actually do this, considering they'd have no way of making the costs of setting up that space back, and the fact that people have been smoking pot at concerts for a very long time without having the need to go into an enclosed space to do it. Tom Angel over Marijuana Moment scoops up his second story of the day with a piece about Oregon Senator Ron Wyden and a basket of hemp product goods he recently brought onto the floor of the U.S. Senate. Senator Wyden spoke about the need to change up our industrial hemp laws and used the array of hemp products to help illustrate the point that there is a large demand for hemp that's not being met by American farmers. Zip over to Marijuana Moment for the full read on this one, as well as to watch the video of Senator Wyden and his basket of hemp goodies. California-based packaging company Kush Bottles just announced that they're creating a new division of their company to sell non-marijuana related FDA-compliant packaging. Kush's new division will be named Colito Packaging Solutions and will target the pharmaceutical and veterinarian industries. Yesterday, an environmental advocacy group sued the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors over changes it made to the rules and regulations governing outdoor marijuana cultivation. Friends of the Eel River filed the lawsuit yesterday and claimed that the recent rule changes for marijuana farmers do not protect the health of local rivers and watersheds. This is another big issue that we've got to get right, so I'd add this one to your list of stories to read in full. We end today on a bit of a lighthearted note with Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moment, spending some time getting to know one Eric Mercer a little better. Eric is a fellow Mainer and social media guy who has a lot of videos on his Instagram account of doing funny things involving marijuana and flying drones. Yesterday, a video of Eric smoking a bong attached to a flying drone started to go viral, so Kyle hit up Eric for some insight on his work. It's a funny one for sure. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, the Ohm of Medicine, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes today's show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.